Hello everybody, welcome to Streetlight Babble, where we'll be doing a review of the Mummy.
The Mummy, starring Tom Cruise's yelling.
Starring Tom Cruise. I gotta say, wow.
This movie finally came out, and it is a movie.
It is a movie,
that people worked on.
That people did. So, the movie begins, as all movies do at the beginning of time, with our main character, Tom Cruise, as a military
liaison / black market dealer.
Black market dealer, specifically black market dealer within the confines of and artifacts from antiquity.
Yeah, which, as we all know, can fetch quite the pretty penny if you know who the right buyer is.
And with a comedic relief friend that calls in airstrikes whenever he wants.
Because once again, they're technically military liaisons.
They're technically still part of the military, but they also get to do whatever they want. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, that's not really what the military is all about, is it, Jake?
It is when you're the American military.
Well, you still gotta follow. Never mind. So, and of course they're coming upon the movie begins with them fighting ISIS, who are
don't say ISIS, but it's pretty blatant.
It's ISIS because they're destroying ancient Mesopotamian artifacts. They're in Iraq, and after an airstrike, it is revealed that there is a tomb.
An Egyptian tomb.
An Egyptian tomb.
Egypt's 1,000 miles away. How could that possibly be?
Oh, well, it turns out that there's a lady, because Russell Crowe told us for like 10 minutes in the exposition the history and life of a lady in ancient Egypt that was apparently erased from the history books, but we know about her.
But because she was so evil, but they didn't do a good job of erasing her.
So we know about her, but she's been erased from history. They never explained how they got to know her there. And, of course, that's her tomb. That's her prison tomb that they sucked her in because she's a evil sorcerer mummy who worships the god of death.
She's so evil they have to put liquid mercury around her to keep her in there.
They made a lot bigger of a plot point. They made the mercury a bigger plot point than I thought there would be, because I thought that would just be a thing in the beginning.
I knew it was gonna come back
because they were like, oh, mercury, it dampens spiritual power. That's why she's surrounded in mercury.
And they bring it back later in the movie.
They keep bringing back mercury, and I'm just, okay, I got it.
I get it, guys. I got it.
So that's the setup for this movie, and this movie is very
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we would like to erect the spoiler switchblade, because this is going to be actually a hybrid spoiler review. So,
because there's really not too much to talk about without getting into spoilers. This movie's not very content heavy, so we feel like we need to go into spoilers in order to properly.
So if you, for some reason, get possessed by the spirit of Tom Cruise's aging career and want to go see a movie, by Scientology I say, don't watch any more of this review. But if you are a normal, sane human being, please continue watching, and we'll warn you of the follies of men.
Only sane people watch our reviews. Okay.
Yeah, all 6 of you.
All 6 of you. Anywho, so the characters. We have Tom Cruise, as I said, military black market fellow. He's Tom Cruise. That's his character. It's Tom Cruise.
It's Tom Cruise as Tom Cruise, as every character Tom Cruise has been in the last 10 years.
If you've seen a Tom Cruise movie, you've seen this character, okay? It's just Tom Cruise. There's not much different about him. What movies has he not been Tom Cruise? No, we're going to focus on this review. We have
Jerry Maguire.
Maybe, I don't know. We have Jake Johnson, who is Tom Cruise's probably the most entertaining part of the movie. He's the comedic relief,
and he's actually pretty funny. There were a couple of good chuckles he got from me. And
he gets bitten by a camel spider, which is not venomous. Then he dies and becomes an undead servant of the villain. And he just guides Tom Cruise on his way through his adventure in a funny way.
Like there's a scene in a bar where Tom Cruise is just having visions of him, and he's just pretending like he's pouring drinks behind the bar, and then all of a sudden he's like, "You, me, bathroom. Now we need to talk.
Yeah.
And they go into a bathroom and
And they just talk, and Tom Cruise goes in the ladies' bathroom. I felt like, so, oh no, I'm gonna get into that grievance later. First, we're gonna, the female lead, what's her name?
the female lead.
Okay, we don't know her name. We don't really know any character's name other than
Russell Crowe's character, but we'll talk about him in a second.
Other than Russell Crowe's character, but yeah, that's a spoiler. So the female lead was tough archaeology woman
Who had a one-night stand with Tom Cruise.
who had a one-night stand with Tom Cruise and has to get saved all the time. That's it. The Mummy herself.
She was passable.
She's passable. I feel like her character would have been more interesting if Russell Crowe didn't exposit her entire backstory and
Yeah, like they kept on
all of her intentions at the first 10 minutes of the movie. There was no mystery after that.
Yeah, like there's a bunch of scenes where you have Tom Cruise having visions of the past of this character Aminette. That's the mummy's name, and I think it would have been better if we get little snippets here and there through the Tom Cruise visions, as opposed to having Russell Crowe monologue for 5 minutes at the beginning.
Russell Crowe monologue for 5 minutes, and I knew everything I needed to know about the villain. There were no more mysteries, and I knew that eventually she'd get defeated. So what was the point? But she's passable. They were obviously trying to go for a little bit of sex appeal with, she was just wearing bandages, very tight bandages.
Basically only covering the areas that would warrant a PG-13 rating.
Yeah, basically that's all she was wearing. And and she just decided that she's going to give Tom Cruise evil powers of life and death. and that she'll be his queen. And I was, where are these women coming on to men so hard? I mean, I never seen them. Jeez.
It's because they hate people like us.
They hate people like us, I swear. But yeah, that's the plot, is that she's chosen Tom Cruise to be the vessel of the devil, basically.
Yeah.
To which I guess he still has his own personality, just has the powers of the devil. That was a question I kept asking myself in my head there.
I think it's dual possession. Like he's still in there, but he's mentally fighting off the devil.
Okay, yeah. And by the way, the Egyptian god of death is also the devil. So, okay. And that's her plan. She wants to have Tom Cruise be the devil, and she wants to
rule on as his queen.
She wants to be his queen.
Okay.
Right? She was known to be ambitious, so they kind of talked about how ambitious she was, but so I thought that maybe she'd want to be her own ruler. But whatever. So then there's Russell Crowe, which is a spoiler. We told you there's spoilers. He's Dr. Jekyll.
And Mr. Hyde.
Well, of course. He's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And one of the problems with this movie is that the focus keeps getting pulled away in order to set up the Dark Universe, which is going to be the film series based on The Mummy, Dracula, Frankenstein, Van Helsing, Wolfman,
the Phantom of the Opera.
Phantom of the Opera, which I actually guessed, and I don't think you believed me at first when I was like, maybe will Phantom of the Opera be there? And
I guess it is.
And you're like, nah, it won't be, but then, yes, it is.
And Invisible Man,
Creature from the Black Lagoon, and all these things are going to be in a movie universe, because everything has to be a movie universe now, because everybody's jealous of Marvel.
And I think we both agreed upon this. If they were going to focus this much on Russell Crowe as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde...
The first movie,
why not just start with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde?
It should be the first movie, because...
I found all the stuff pertaining with Jekyll and Hyde way more interesting than the stuff pertaining with The Mummy, which is weird in a movie that's called The Mummy.
Yeah, you should just keep your central focus on The Mummy, not on Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Because apparently there's a secret society, basically like S.H.I.E.L.D. from the Marvel universe. S.H.I.E.L.D. works with all the superheroes and kind of keeps them on the down low and keeps them together. And basically there we have the same thing. We're just calling them Monster S.H.I.E.L.D. at this point.
Because it's pretty much the same thing.
It's the same thing. They just control all these monsters, and Dr. Jekyll is the head of this. Now, I think it would have been more interesting to start your film universe about the Dark Universe with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and having him beginning to interact with this monster shield type deal.
Or form it and like realize,
form
okay, I need some people around me to take out threats, including myself, if I ever go full Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, and they even show Mr. Hyde.
Yeah,
I kind of liked Mr. Hyde. He has a Scottish accent.
Oh, this door won't let me out, boy.
This door won't let me out, boy. Yeah, because Dr. Jekyll's not very interesting. He's just kind of mumbly, and he's like, we're gonna have to kill you, Tom Cruise. We're gonna have to kill you. And then Mr. Hyde's he's very charismatic, and he's
which I thought it was interesting that the serum actually was what kept him as Dr. Jekyll, whereas because if you notice, kind of over the course of the
it'd be interesting to see how Mr. Hyde got into his
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if it's a reverse of the original story where. Maybe he's more of a Hyde-like person in reality, and he tries to create a serum where he becomes more of a good-natured man.
Yeah, all the theories on that's what more gets my mind rolling is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which, as I said, completely pulls the focus away from this movie because it's not about the mummy anymore. And then Erin, of course, returns to her and her evil plans, and there's a scene where she kills the female lead, and she has Tom Cruise on the ropes, and then she's like, "Oh, you can bring back people from the dead or life. You have power of life and death." And Tom Cruise is like, "Okay." Stabs himself. So because apparently you get this power by stabbing yourself with a special,
or having someone stab you with
this special
blade,
and he kills her and then brings the woman back to life. That's how it happens, but. Before that, what the mummy lady does is she has these ancient crusaders that she's brought back from the dead. Deus Vult. Deus
Vult indeed.
And she's done it. And she's because they're her foot soldiers at the end of the movie. And then she just disintegrates them all right when she has Tom Cruise on the ropes. I'm like, why did you get rid of all of your foot soldiers? I feel like you could have used them. But
nope.
Whatever.
Nope, that effect is too expensive.
That is too expensive, I guess. But yeah, what else? What else we got going on here? There really isn't a lot to talk about. I mean, this movie isn't so bad that I'm just immediately repulsed by it like Power Rangers, and it isn't so good. It's not a Citizen Kane that I'll just
It's too forgettable.
It's too forgettable. It's far too forgettable because it's just everywhere. Tom Cruise is just Tom Cruise as usual. I don't even see a character. I just see Tom Cruise. You can't remember any characters' names unless they're actually a stable character, or the names have been repeated 20 times over in the past every 5 minutes in the film because they Aminet. That's the mummies. Aminet.
Like, and the weird thing is, I remember the name of the lieutenant that's in charge of their unit, and he gets killed off in the first 20 minutes. His name was Greenwood.
He was kind of interesting. I liked him. He's just like a general dude who wouldn't take nobody's shit. Basically, that was it.
Yep, and then Jake John stabs him to death.
And he stabs him to death. I'm just like, isn't that hard to kill a general? Is that easy to kill a general?
Oh no,
Jake! When I stab you.
I've been slain.
If I were to just take this knife and stab you right now, what was the first thing you'd do? Or would you just stand there and do nothing like the general did? Because apparently that's what you do when you get stabbed. You don't be like, "Ow, what the hell?" No, you go like, "Oh, I've been stabbed. Oh no!" So that's I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, and they kind of dubbed over the screams.
Oh yeah, So maybe we'll put this in the description, or we'll find a way to smack it over top. In the trailer,
I'll edit it in. I'll find a way.
All right, yeah. In the trailer, Tom Cruise lets out this hilarious scream while he's crashing in the plane. What? Oh! Well, no, he's first like. And they edited out the scream because they knew it sounded stupid, and I was so sad. That was the part I was looking forward to the most. And then there was another trailer where he did that exact same scream while being covered in rats, and I think that's the one where it was, because Jake pointed out that they actually just put a car horn over Tom Cruise's scream. I guess Tom Cruise don't do 2 takes, so.
Yeah.
And he thought the scream was cool, but no, it's hilarious. By the way, is this movie supposed to be a horror or a comedy?
Yes.
Because they're jump scares. That you can always see them coming. You're gonna see the jump scares coming if you're ever worried. If you're worried about jump scares, you're gonna see them coming.
Yeah.
A mile away.
Yeah, and if jump scares you don't like, you have enough time to look away.
But there's just funny moments but it just, I like it when movies take me on emotional roller coasters that make me laugh, make me cry, make me scared, make me happy. But this is a perfect example of it being done improperly, because it just felt like with a horror moment, it felt like it ruined the tone of a comedy movie, and when a comedy moment happened, it felt like it ruined the tone of a horror movie.
And you know what movie really got that tone right?
What?
The Brendan Fraser first Mummy movie.
Yeah, the Brendan Fraser. It was entertaining. I don't see it. It's just a fun little romp. That's what the first Mummy movie was. A fun romp.
Action romp with.
And then occasionally when the Mummy came on, it was scary. By the way, and another thing, I don't think they should have shown the Mummy as much as they did. They should have more built her up, because she just goes from being like a rotted corpse, and then she sucks life away from people, and then there's immediately a mummy. It is as a person again.
Yeah.
But and I feel like horror comes from the unknown. Should have just kind of. This is what horror people listen. Horror movie people, you don't have to show your monsters immediately. Jaws was scary. And they didn't show a monster. The first Alien was probably the scariest one of the series,
because they didn't know what was going on.
And you only get to see the alien at the end. I mean, the fear of the unknown is one of the most visceral fears a human can have. I think horror movie people need to really double down on that, because I've been noticing this trend where they immediately want to show their monsters, like in the first take.
Yeah.
I think we just watched a horror movie recently. I forget what it's called.
Oh, the Lights Out.
Yeah, Lights Out. And the first thing they did was they showed the monster. And I was, well, what's the point? What's the point now? I'm not scared of you anymore. I see what you look like. I see what you're about, what your powers are.
I see you.
You need to stop explaining everything about the monster in the beginning. But, yeah. So, I give this movie like a 4 out of 10. Very average, very forgettable, not very great, not particularly bad. Just sort of 4 out of 10. Right there. Somewhere in the middle. Just kind of leaves your mind instantly as you leave the theater, because I was grasping for straws, thinking of things to talk about with this movie.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd say like a 4 or 5 out of 10. It's very forgettable. I mean, 2 weeks from now, I'll be like, oh yeah, I guess I saw The Mummy. But it's, Hopefully, though, the rest of the Dark Universe is good.
I don't know. I'm tired. Listen, guys, not everything has to be a universe. A lot of these stories, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Frankenstein, they all work on their own, but...
Like, Universal, we get it. The monster movies were the first crossover movies that happened. We get it. We understand, but it's...
I don't know, unless it's artistically inspired, because this movie just stinks of a boardroom of people sitting down saying, Marvel movies are making money. We have to do crossovers now. That's what the people in the DC boardroom thought. That's what people in the monster universe of Godzilla and King Kong, that's what they thought. It just stinks of just boardroom, rich folk, cigars.
Oh yes, we gotta add more monsters to our movie now.
Add more monsters to our movie. Ooh, we gotta make a universe. This whole universe thing seems to be making a lot of money. But it seems like because we were there on a Friday night, and it seems like there weren't a lot of people in the theater. People aren't very interested in this. But
it was like us and 2 couples.
It's like us and 2 couples, and kids who were throwing candy through the theater.
Yeah, they hit us a couple times.
They hit us a couple times. I was going to yell at them, but they were kids. Whatever.
All right, well, stay tuned. We got some more movie reviews coming out soon. Maybe we'll see Captain Underoos.
Yeah, well, maybe we come to Captain Underpants. I don't know anything about Captain Underpants. This guy's a Captain Underpants connoisseur, so I guess you'll see a newcomer and an older timer perspective on Captain Underpants. So we'll see you later, and make sure not to be getting in any tombs now, or else a hot mummy lady will give you ultimate power and want to bang you. Oh no, that's the worst thing in